12 Thoughts to Build an Unshakable Mind. Introduction. Are you tired because you try to control everything, or because you can't control yourself? Have you ever felt like your mind is a room full of wind? Just one sentence, one glance, one message, and your inner world turns upside down? You've spent an entire day worrying about something that might never happen. You've been angry at someone who didn't even know they hurt you. You've lain awake at night over things beyond your reach. The mind, meant to be the most peaceful place, becomes the most chaotic place. And the sad truth is, not everyone is taught how to build a steady mind. People teach you how to speak well, dress well, succeed, control others. But no one teaches you how not to be controlled by life. The Stoics are different. They do not try to control the world. They learn to control themselves. They do not seek calm from circumstances. They build steadiness from within. They do not run from emotions. They train the mind to stand firm, unmoved in the storm. Right now, you and I will walk through 12 Stoic thoughts that can change how you see life, and more importantly, help you build an unshakable mind. Thought 1. Nothing is good or bad, only how we perceive it. You've had bad luck and thought, why me? You've been betrayed and thought, life is unfair. You've lost a job and concluded, I'm a failure. But Epictetus said, nothing is good or bad, only the way you think makes it so. This isn't a line to soothe feelings. It's a truth that's hard to accept, but liberating if you grasp it. Because when you believe circumstances are what make you suffer, you become a permanent victim. But when you understand that your perspective is the issue, you begin to see your power of choice again. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, once wrote in the midst of battle, "Whatever happens has been chosen for us by fate as part of the natural flow." You can resist what happens or transform yourself to move through it. Imagine driving in a heavy rain. You can stop in the middle of the road and be in more danger, or keep going slowly, steadily, calmly. The rain doesn't stop because you're angry. The rain doesn't soften because you complain. The rain is just rain. And so are the events of life. The Stoic doesn't live in an ideal world. They live in the world as it is, and learn to reframe each experience with reason. You are not insulted. You are allowing someone else's words to define your value. You are not truly a failure. You are simply at a point in the road where the result isn't what you hoped yet. You are not abandoned by life. You are stepping away from a turn that wasn't meant for you. Epictetus called this inner freedom. Freedom is not doing what you want. Freedom is not being disturbed by what you don't want. An unshakable mind begins there, with you pausing, breathing, and asking, am I labeling something negative that may not be negative? How else can I look at this so it doesn't swallow me? From that question, a new perspective is born. From that perspective, a new mind begins to form, bit by bit, day by day. When you understand that nothing is inherently good or bad, you remove a key link in your mind's reaction chain. But to keep building a steady mind, you need another lesson, a harder, deeper thought. We control nothing except ourselves. Thought 2, we control nothing except ourselves. Have you ever felt driven mad by something not going your way? Traffic when you were in a rush? Someone who made a promise and broke it? A loved one hurting you again, though you tried to be patient? You scream in your head, why is this happening? Why would they do that? I tried. Why isn't it enough? In those exact moments, you'll hear Epictetus's voice. Some things are within your control, and some are not. If you confuse the two, you'll suffer for life. That sentence is a survival foundation of Stoicism and the root of an unshakable mind. Stoics don't try to control the world. They try to control their response to the world. We cannot control the weather, what others think, what people say or do, whether they love or hate us. But we can control what our mind chooses to think, which emotions we keep or release, the actions we take, even when circumstances are unfair. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The outside may be chaotic, but never let your mind be chaotic with it." So Stoics don't expect life to be gentle. They prepare their inner strength to stand when life storms. They don't rely on luck. They practice daily with awareness. Whenever something happens, they don't react instantly. They pause and ask one question: is this within my control? If the answer is no, they let go. Not to neglect it, but because clinging to the unholdable is madness. You've tried to change someone's mind, begged a lover to stay, done everything to fix a decision that wasn't yours, and you realized the more you tried, the more exhausted you became. The more you clung, the more you were hurt. The harder you tensed up, the more you lost yourself. Stoics don't resist what lies beyond their will. They turn inward and adjust themselves. Epictetus taught, "Your only job is to act rightly. The result is not your job." Simple to hear, hard to live. To do so, you must drop the ego that wants to control everything. You must accept not everything you want will happen. That doesn't make you weak. On the contrary, it lightens you. Because when you stop trying to control what you cannot, you begin to focus all your strength on what you can, yourself. Real power is not in controlling others. Power is in not letting others control you. A steady mind is one that doesn't scream amid chaos, but quietly observes and chooses a response from reason, not impulse. You cannot control how others behave, but you can choose not to mirror them. You cannot stop the storm, but you can learn to raise the mast, tie the sails, and keep the boat from breaking. When you realize your inner life is the only thing you truly own, you start laying a solid foundation for the mind. But what if the very things you can control are the things you often forget? The third thought touches that, a hard truth, but awakening. Thought 3, you yourself create most of your own pain. Have you noticed that? A throwaway comment can make you sad all day. A passing glance can keep you up at night. One rejection can make you doubt your worth. We often think we're victims of circumstances, others, the outside, but the hard truth is, your mind is where most of your suffering is made. Epictetus said, "It's not events that make you suffer, but how you think about them." Someone says you're incompetent, but if you don't believe it, you won't be affected. Someone turns away, but if you understand they have the right to choose, you won't be haunted. An opportunity slips by, but if you believe life has other roads, you won't collapse. Pain doesn't arise from the world. It arises from the stories you tell yourself about the world. You believe you're not good enough. You should have done better. You must be recognized. You cannot fail. And each time something contradicts those beliefs, you fall apart. Marcus Aurelius, who faced loss, war, betrayal, and death, still wrote, "If you are in pain, it's because you have allowed your mind to permit it." That doesn't mean don't feel, be numb. It means take responsibility for your reactions. You can't stop others from being careless, but you can stop interpreting their carelessness as proof you're unloved. You can't avoid all failure, but you can stop calling failure a disaster and call it a turn. Stoics don't deny emotion. They observe emotion, like a quiet guard at the city gate. When anger comes, they look straight at it. What exactly am I angry about? Is it truly worth losing reason over? Am I assigning a negative meaning to this? That observation is the most powerful moment, because the instant you pause and realize, I'm reacting this way because I believe something, you begin to unhook the anchor that has bound your mind for so long. Epictetus called it the art of separating reality from interpretation. Reality, they didn't reply to your message. Interpretation, they must not respect me anymore. Reality, you failed a project. Interpretation, I'm useless. Stoics aren't imprisoned by interpretation. They learn to return to reality and start again from that reality without embellishing, without dramatizing. Practice this long enough and you'll see. Peace doesn't come from controlling the world. Peace comes from not adding weight to the world with your own negative thinking. When you realize you contribute to most of your pain, you're no longer a victim. You begin to be someone who can heal through reason, awareness, choice, and from that point you'll understand. Thinking, if untrained, will be your most ruthless enemy. But understood rightly, it becomes your lifelong companion. If you've made it to thought 3, perhaps you're seeking freedom from within. Then don't miss what's next. The remaining 9 thoughts will keep opening doors you once thought you couldn't enter. And if you want to stay the course with Stoicism Empire, subscribe, not because we need more subs, but because your mind deserves another daily anchor. Thought 4, peace is not when nothing happens. It's when whatever happens, you don't waver. Have you ever asked, why can someone stay calm after losing a job while you panic? Why can someone smile after rejection while you collapse? Why do some pass through the same event while you're swept away? The answer isn't in what happened, but in the inner strength of that person. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't wish life were easier. Make your mind stronger." In modern life, people equate peace with getting one's way. Money, peace. A lover, peace. A stable job, peace. No gossip behind your back, peace. The problem is, life doesn't run by your wishes. There will be days you're betrayed, months you're stuck, years you don't know what you're living for. And if you're only peaceful when everything is smooth, sadly, you don't have peace. You're just temporarily untested. Stoics understood this early. They don't train to avoid suffering. They train not to collapse when suffering arrives. Seneca wrote, "I do not hope for a light life. I hope to be strong enough not to be crushed by life." So they don't run from hard situations. They step into them and use them as a gym for the inner life. When insulted, they don't argue. When work fails, they don't blame. When loss comes, they don't scream at fate. They observe. They ask questions. They adjust their response, and they keep walking without losing themselves. That is the core of a steady mind. Not needing external quiet to keep internal calm. Not needing external perfection to maintain internal order. Not needing life to be gentle in order not to shout. They live like silent warriors, and the greatest battlefield is their own mind. You can start today, not with grand gestures, but by pausing each time chaos pulls you in and telling yourself, peace isn't out there. It's in whether I keep myself. And so day by day, you erect a fortress in your mind, not loud, not boastful, but rock solid in the storm. If you've stayed with the video this far, perhaps you're no longer seeking temporary calm. You're beginning the journey of becoming someone the storm itself respects. And if that's true, welcome to a place where we won't make you comfortable, but we will help you become strong. Subscribe to Stoicism Empire now, so each time life wants to teach you a lesson, you are ready to answer with calm, not panic. Thought 5. You don't need to react to everything. We're living in an age where everyone feels compelled to react. Someone says something wrong on the internet? React. Someone annoys you? React. See someone living differently from you? React. Sometimes you don't even know what you're angry about, yet you still have to show an attitude, as if silence were a sin. But Stoic philosophy teaches, not reacting does not mean weakness. Not reacting is a sign of a disciplined inner life. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You don't need to have an opinion about everything." It sounds simple, but this is a reminder of immense power for those exhausted by reacting too much. You don't need to counter every insult. You don't need to explain every misunderstanding. You don't need to show up in every argument. You have the right to stay silent. You have the right to observe. You have the right not to give that thing a place in your mind. Stoics practice delaying their response. They don't let anyone or anything press the button that controls their emotions. Someone says something false? They ask themselves, is this worth losing my calm over? A situation makes them angry. They step back and think, what will this reaction serve? Momentary relief or long-term regret? They don't force themselves to hold back. They are free because they choose. Epictetus said, your mind becomes strongest when you can choose silence over retaliation. This idea doesn't encourage you to endure or be passive. On the contrary, it gives you real power. That power doesn't lie in taking down the other with words. It lies in this. They no longer have the ability to make you lose control. Have you ever felt you typed out an angry message and then deleted it? You were ready to argue but chose silence and felt calmer? That isn't losing. That's when you're winning yourself. A steady mind doesn't react out of habit. It filters, delays, and only acts when it truly matters. Someone once asked Epictetus, if I'm insulted, should I stay silent? He answered, if it does not harm your moral character, then silence is the strongest reply. So every time you're about to react, ask, am I reacting because this is worth it or because my ego is hurt? Does silence make me lose real value or preserve it? You'll be surprised how often silence is the wise choice. When you learn not to react impulsively, you open a large door to inner steadiness. But there is something even harder than silence. It is forgiving in silence, without needing anything in return. The next thought touches that soft spot and helps you move through it. Thought 6. You don't need recognition to keep your kindness. Have you ever felt looked down on when you did something good? You help someone. They don't thank you. You quietly yield. They think you're weak. You're sincere. People question your motives. And then you tell yourself, why should I keep being kind when this world doesn't appreciate it? If others don't think well of me, why keep my ethics? Maybe being cold gets me more respect. That's a sweet temptation, and also one of the most insidious psychological traps today, because you start trading inner qualities for other people's external attitudes. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, no matter how others behave, I must live according to my own nature, not theirs. Stoics understand, kindness is not a strategy to be liked. Kindness is a choice to live rightly, whether anyone sees it or not. If you're only kind when you're acknowledged, that's no longer virtue, it's a transaction. If you only show restraint when people are grateful, you're placing your inner peace in someone else's hands. Epictetus said, you cannot control others misunderstanding you, but you can control whether you live true to yourself. There are things you do that no one sees, efforts you make that no one records, hurts you swallow in silence to keep everything around you from breaking, but you still stay true. Because you know the mind cannot be steady if it always needs recognition to confirm its worth. Stoics trust something higher than any outside gaze, conscience. Seneca wrote, your conscience is your most loyal companion. Do not abandon it for someone else's eyes. Be kind, not because someone deserves it. Be kind because you deserve a principled life. You don't need to broadcast what you do right. You just need to sleep well each night knowing you didn't betray your inner values. When you're kind, you're not weak. You're stronger than those letting emotions run their actions. A steady mind doesn't need others to admit I'm right. It only needs to know it has lived without shame before itself. And that is enough. When you no longer live for recognition, you remove an invisible shackle of the ego. But deeper still, there's a root that makes your mind easily shaken, attachment. And that's when you need a harder, more painful, but more liberating thought. Thought 7. Attachment is the root of suffering. Have you ever been afraid of losing someone, a position, a relationship, or something that once made you feel valuable? You're not afraid of losing that person. You're afraid of the emptiness after. You're not afraid of losing the job. You're afraid of losing the title it gave you. You're not afraid of change. You're afraid to leave the zone where your ego has long felt at home. All those fears arise from one point: attachment. Epictetus said, "When you love a cup, remember it's only a cup. If it breaks, you won't break with it." That's how Stoics practice separating emotion from possession. You don't own your lover, you are simply walking together. You don't own your job, you are simply performing a role. You don't own your reputation, you're merely reflecting an image others think of you. When you cling to something, you let it decide your emotions, and when it disappears, you collapse with it. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself each day, anything that can be taken should not be the root of your inner security. Stoics practice living lightly, not by abandoning everything, but by being ready to let go when needed. They love without dependence. They contribute without clinging to the outcome. They succeed without losing themselves if one day they lose it all. A steady mind is built on freedom from all attachments. The more you cling, the more you hurt. The tighter you hold, the more you tire. The more you force things to stay, the more you lose the ability to move on. So learn to release, not because life is scary, but because you deserve lightness from within. Thought 8. Calm is not a personality, it's a discipline. Someone once asked, "I've been hot-tempered since childhood. Can I live stoically?" The answer, no one is born calm. Calm is not a gift. It's the result of daily mental training. You may be born with a tendency to react strongly, but you have the right not to let that instinct run you for life. Epictetus said, "We do not control circumstances, but we can control the habit of our response to them." Stoics aren't calm by default. They train response discipline, like training a muscle. Each time you want to explode but choose silence, you're training strength. Each time you're misunderstood and don't rush to defend, you're training control. Each time you accept a truth without tensing up against it, you're maturing a level. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his journal, "Today I will meet the foolish, the arrogant, the ungrateful, and I have prepared for that." That's not pessimism, that's mental discipline. To avoid surprise and not rebel when life isn't as you wish. If you wait for pleasant circumstances before being calm, you'll never have true calm. Stoics enter life with this stance: whatever happens, I will still have myself. And because of that, they are not swept away. A steady mind doesn't appear from reading a few lines of philosophy. It is born from choosing discipline over emotion each time life tests you. Thought 9. You only need enough, not more than others. Have you ever felt uneasy seeing others more successful than you? They have more money, travel more, receive more praise. You don't hate them, but you feel lacking. That's the most common illness of the modern world. Comparison. Comparison turns you into a prisoner of what you don't have. Comparison blinds you to what you already have. Epictetus taught, if you want to be free, don't compare. Just learn to be enough. Stoics don't live to be better than. They live to be right. Right with reason. Right with values. Right with purpose. When you don't need to beat others to feel worthy, you begin to hold a peace that can't be taken. Seneca wrote, "The richest person is the one who needs nothing more." A steady mind doesn't seek approval from the crowd. It seeks harmony between what it does and who it wants to become. You only need enough to live rightly, not more to be noticed, not more to restore glory, not more to escape the fear of being left behind. And when you live like that, no one can take the calm in your heart. Not everyone who has more is stronger. The one who knows enough is the one who cannot be subdued. Comment below. Which thought in the video makes you want to live differently starting today? The Stoicism Empire community always welcomes your awakening. If you're still here, then perhaps you don't just want to hear philosophy, you're choosing to live it. And that journey will be lighter, steadier, deeper if you don't walk it alone. Subscribe to Stoicism Empire now, not to hear more good lines, but to train the mind daily with others who are also seeking steadiness in silence. Thought 10. Everything will pass as it always does. Have you ever panicked over something that felt impossible to overcome, and a few months later, you forgot the feeling? Have you ever lost sleep over someone who left, and a year later, felt peaceful when you remembered? All the things you thought would end your life eventually became a small stretch in a much larger journey. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look at everything as if it has already passed, for in truth, that's exactly what it's doing." This isn't a false comfort, it's an absolute truth. Time doesn't stop because you hurt. It doesn't care that you're disappointed, bereaved, or broken. It keeps moving. And that, ironically, is the best thing that could happen. Because if everything flows, then pain flows too. If time fades things, then wounds too can be renewed. Stoics don't deny emotion, they feel it fully, and then let go. They don't grit their teeth through it, nor do they drown in it. They simply let time do its work. Epictetus said, "When something happens, don't ask why me. Ask what is this teaching me?" A steady mind is not one without emotion. It's a mind that doesn't let emotion dictate its will. You hurt, but you don't collapse. You're sad, but you don't give up. You're disappointed, yet you keep going, because you know everything will pass. Thought 11. No one will save you except you. We grow up believing someone will understand us deeply. Someone will come and heal the wound. There will be recognition, a miracle, an opportunity that pulls us out of the dark. But the more you mature, the more you see. No one's coming. No one knows you better than you do. No one is responsible for your peace. No one saves you because no one holds the reins of your mind but you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, everything you need to live a tranquil life is already within you. Don't seek it outside. Stoics don't count on being helped. They're ready to accept help, but they don't depend on it. They act even when no one cheers. They correct themselves even when no one notices. They grow even when no one acknowledges it. And that is true inner strength. Seneca wrote, "If you keep waiting for someone to pull you out of the dark, you will drown in expectation." A steady mind is built from radical responsibility for oneself. You don't blame your parents, society, or fate. You don't ask, who made me like this? You only ask, what will I do so I'm no longer like this? And with that one question, you step out of the victim role. You don't need someone to lift you up. You need to stop dragging yourself down. Thought 12. Each day is a rehearsal for death, to know you're alive. Have you ever considered today could be the last day? Not to be pessimistic, but to be awake. Not to despair, but to stop postponing what is worth living for. Stoics practice a strange habit, memento mori, remember you will die. Marcus Aurelius wrote, you could leave life at any moment. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. When you remember you will die, you don't waste time on anger. You don't drain yourself with one-upmanship. You don't delay an apology, an expression of love, or a decision to live authentically. You live with full presence. Epictetus advised his students, each morning when you wake, remember you've been given one more day to live rightly. Do not squander it. A steady mind doesn't come from long-range plans. It comes from living fully in each brief moment. You don't need a new year to begin living differently. You only need one awakened thought. Tomorrow morning, remember death takes nothing from one who has lived rightly. Stoics don't fear death. They fear living shallowly, living wastefully. And so they live as if each day were the last chance to live as a true human being. Conclusion: your mind isn't forged by calm days. It's tempered in the times you wanted to quit, but kept going. It's formed when you don't retaliate, don't justify, don't thrash about, when you choose to stay clear-headed amid chaos. Stoics aren't people who never hurt. They're people who refuse to let hurt define who they are. You don't need to become perfect now. Just begin with one right thought each day. And those thoughts, step by step, will become the foundation of a mind that cannot be shaken. Remember Marcus Aurelius, your mind will become unconquerable the moment you refuse to let it be disturbed by what you do not control. If this video touched something in you, leave a sign that you too are on the path of self-mastery. Comment with one thought you want to carry for life. Or more simply, subscribe to Stoicism Empire as a quiet commitment that you no longer want to live shallowly, react rashly, or be ruled by emotion. You're ready to live as an awakened warrior. Stoicism Empire. Forge a mind of stone. Live a life unshakable.